Are stadium investments worthwhile? I'm Charles Blaine, and this is Texas Tomorrow. Chambers of commerce and convention bureaus, as well as elected officials across the state, will often tell you that spending money on stadiums, whether new or upgraded, to lure a team to their city or keep an existing one, is a worthwhile investment of taxpayer dollars because the return on investment is so high. But is it really? This is noteworthy right now because the Houston Texans are renegotiating their lease with Harris County, and a recent assessment of their stadium, NRG, suggested that it needed $1.2 billion in renovations over the next 30 years. So people began to ask, should it be upgraded? Should a new one be built? And by whom? Down I-10, the San Antonio Spurs are looking for $1 billion to renovate their stadium, or they're threatening to leave. They pushed the Bexar County Commissioners Court to consider a May referendum for additional money on it. And they're also looking at the city, which is collecting a hotel occupancy tax that by 2054 could amount to $2.5 billion. So is it worth it? Probably not. On average, across the country and across different types of sports, stadiums are costing at least $500 million and often exceeding $1 billion. Economic research for decades has shown that the fiscal returns for these stadiums do not compare to the amount we spend on them or the promised economic return. Despite how much economic activity and jobs were promised, and we all pay for it at the end of the day, it never amounts to what was promised. Of the 24 stadiums built in the past 2 decades for the 4 largest American sports leagues, about 4 in 10 were financed in part with municipal bonds exempt from federal tax dollars, which places part of the financial burden on taxpayers nationwide. What has also been found is that these stadiums typically shift economic spending. They don't add to it. And on top of that, it's not just the stadiums that are costly, but there's an added cost of the infrastructure and other upgrades near the stadium to support the additional activity of the stadium. Because these franchises benefit from the major cities they are in or near, the likelihood of them actually leaving if they don't get what they want is pretty slim, and it's certainly not as much as we'd be led to believe. Now, of course, there's arguments like civic pride and it'll make your team better, and what's a city without a stadium, or the big one, which is that it'll lure big events like the Super Bowl or Final Four. That's all great, but is that justification for spending tax dollars on something that will surely be more expensive than initially anticipated and won't have as much of an economic return? This is a never-ending argument that will surely flare up in your area, whether it's for something minor league or major. And even if it doesn't, the municipal bonds free from federal taxes means that we all have a stake in what happens. When you hear about these projects and have your local political class talk about the massive investments it'll bring, take those rose-colored glasses off and check the facts, because they're usually not as nice as they seem. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Texas Tomorrow. Please like, share, comment, and let us know if there's something going on in your neighborhood that you'd like us to talk about.